Geovany Quenda has made the third most key passes in the Portuguese league this season with 49, made the joint fifth most big chances created this season with 10, and has the eighth most successful dribbles with 31 at just 17 years of age. But why exactly have Chelsea signed him, and what is it about Quenda that makes him so special? Firstly, here's some notes that I took on him at the start of this season, and I'd already say that in terms of negatives, decision-making, for example, has already improved just this season because these notes were at the start of this campaign before he'd sort of undergone a little bit more development. And also the right wing-back sort of position in this quote is more so to do with where he plays at Sporting. But at Chelsea, we're going to be speaking about how he'll be used as a touchline winger. His raw athleticism, speed, and just power to sort of accelerate out of those positions draws a lot of double teams onto him in this situation, as you can see. Quenda will often take those sort of micro touches towards the player, trying to wait for that player to bite before he can then accelerate past them because he has exceptional acceleration and that ability to go from 0 to 100 very quickly. But one thing you'll learn about Quenda quite quickly is as good as he is in the 1v1 battles with his fullback, of course, we're talking about those double teams, but he's also very good at manipulating those double teams, which is something we spoke about before in Maresca's system that is quite important. On this occasion, he's able to slow the two players down, draw two players towards him on the edge of the box before playing a perfectly weighted pass between the legs of the central defender into the space for Sporting to attack and create a chance from. Physically, he's very good for his age. Again, he's got a very compact body. He's able to use his body very well when riding challenges and also when shielding players off away from the ball. And again, even when he's driving with the ball, he's got that low centre of gravity where he's able to knock players off balance with that short sort of compact strength that he has. Going back to that ability, look how he's here 1v1 with that fullback. He's slowing him down so he knows he can burst into that space ahead of him, but he's also keeping an eye on the player who has got that sort of defensive coverage, that second man coverage, to make sure that he can manipulate not one, both of them to get into an optimal position in the final third. His ability to slow his man down, the fullback, make it a 1v1, but also keeping an eye and surveying the situation, then using little micro touches to manipulate the ball before he then bursts away, ensuring that the cover defender cannot retreat into that space, giving him the best possible chance of creating a high XG chance. Another thing that he's developed under Amorim very much so when he was playing in that right wing-back role for him is being able to play that sort of first time or very quick inside whipped pass of his left foot, which can then go into the half-space runner or even the striker, which could be very useful for Chelsea in build-up as an extra progressive tool. So we've spoke about what type of player Quenda is, but how will he fit into Maresca's system and why is he perfect to play as one of those touchline wingers? Let's go and have a look on the tactics board and discuss. Okay, now on the tactics board, let's have a little chat about Quenda and how he could sort of fit into this team. Now, again, don't take too much of the personnel on board too seriously. We're going to speak more so about the attacking line. So try to forget about this half the pitch, but we put it into position of sort of that 3-2-5 that we're going to see, which will, let's start by highlighting again, just sort of re-going over the importance of these wingers because they often will get into those 1v1 positions. And I released a video the other day talking about control versus chaos and where those chaos moments can come from. So do go and check out that video, which was uploaded a few days ago, because it will help you to understand a little bit better why a player like Quenda is actually such an important addition when you're trying to sort of inform this positional style of play where you can control games, but then you also have the ability to break on teams, transition on teams, and create those moments of chaos within a controlled structure. So again, that comes from those wingers. When you're isolating them, blue isn't the right color to use there. When you're isolating them in these 1v1 positions, can they attack the box? Not just can they sort of, there's points where they need to bring the team forward, turn back, and allow these players to creep up, which again, we've seen a lot as well. But one reason that Madueke is so important is that he does a good mixture of the two. Sancho is a little bit too ball retention heavy, but Madueke has that chaos factor where he can go both ways. Even though it might not be the best end product every time, he can go both ways. He will get touches in these areas of the box. He will make entries into those areas, and he is direct. So that's what he gives you, and that's why wingers are so important in Maresca's system. Also, they have to work hard tracking back, which we know, and athleticism and work rate is a big part of that. Sancho has done a good job at sort of doing that a little bit better this season, not maybe to the best degree, but a little bit better. Madueke has that athleticism. Again, he sometimes switches off defensively, but he has the work rate at times to sort of do that job and Neto we know has that capability as well. So let's talk about how Quenda sort of fits into the occasion, because we spoke about what he's good at. We spoke about sort of what he could bring to the team, and now if I was to compare him to these players, we are talking these chaos maverick wingers. So we're talking Madueke, we're talking on the other side, you could say even a Liao, but the difference is he's got the directness of Liao to go both ways and attack with sort of that directness and the ability to go both ways. And I'm trying to look for a certain word, but almost the bullishness to attack consistently and use his athleticism, but not only his athleticism, but his compact build to attack players, which is something Liao does. But he's also got the work rate to track backwards, which Liao again arguably does not. Doku is another one that you could sort of compare him to in that sense of being really electric in the final third and being willing to just be really direct and use those 1v1s at every given opportunity. So how can players fit into this system? Well, let's just move them into like sort of what we've got at the minute. Tyreek George, more of a left winger. So you got right-footed left winger with Sancho. Esteval coming in, probably going to be in this side of the pitch. Quenda's not joining until 2026. So next season, Paez probably goes out on loan as well. And what you probably see is 1, 2, 3, 4, Neto maybe switching between the two. Maybe Chelsea loan out someone like George as well if they don't think he's ready, and they bring in another winger, because I think a left winger is more sort of what you'd need right now for this team, especially because Sancho's, like I said earlier with Madueke, the difference between Sancho and Madueke is quite drastic in terms of how they play. But Neto can fill both sides, so that's a big point. But let's fast forward to 2026, because I think that's more important. And we'll put this in here because let's say that Chelsea do sign another senior left winger. Or not, I say senior for Chelsea. Let's just say they sign, let's say, Gittins. And I know that's not a senior one, but senior for Chelsea is what we mean. Like, not 17, like ready to actually contribute next season, and they'll go straight into the team. Gittins, let's just say him. Could be anyone. So you got Gittins, Sancho, George, and then you've got Esteval, Madueke, Quenda. Paez for me is more one of these pocket players. He can play on the on the right and come inside, but we're gonna just sort of leave him out for now. And then Neto again can play both sides. So you've essentially got three, and then one who can play both sides. I think absolute, almost locked in is if Quenda comes in, which he like in 2026 when he will, and Esteval is still at the level that we expect he's going to be at, Madueke will be sold. So that's him out the question for me. Let's put him down here. So then you've got Neto, say, as another right wing option. But you've got two really top end talents on this right wing that are both going to want minutes. And yes, Esteval can play in the 10, but Quenda can also play on the left. So let's now then say that Sancho's been sold as well for a profit, or he's just sort of out of favour. George, let's say he's sort of on the fringes still because there's players that have been purchased that are ahead of him in the pecking order, this is what I would expect. Now, is there a world where Quenda can play on the left, Esteval can play on the right, and Palmer can play in the pocket? So that's your three. And then again, you've got, like I said, Paez in the middle as well if you need him, if he's going to be one of those players. That's very possible. The biggest issue with that is the lack of right foot, because you'd have a left-footed left winger and a left-footed right winger, and then you've got a left-footed pocket player here. So Enzo would be your only real sort of right footer. So maybe if you're going to play like this, you'd want a more physical box-to-box right footer in this role. So that's something to sort of pay attention to. And again, we're not even thinking about Andre Santos, for example, right now. Other signings that have sort of been sprinkled, which we'll leave to another day to talk about the midfield sort of configuration. But that is another thing I could see happening. But you need to make sure that you still have those right foot options to like sort of change games, change angles. So that is why I think someone like Tyreek George hopefully still gets enough minutes and is still prioritised enough, even with a loan next year, that he's still in and around the squad to offer you different solutions. Because let's say this other winger doesn't even happen because of Quenda, for example. These wing pairs, like Neto here, and again, you've got Neto can play both sides, Quenda can play both sides. Quenda's better on the right, but we put him on the left just for this. Where'd he go? Did I just delete Quenda by accident? Let's just do that. Again, you're just going to have to ignore the... let's do that. Quenda's on the left in this situation. These two have probably been sold. or Sancho's there just as sort of a backup, like I said. That's not a bad option. Oh, Quenda's there. Literally, that just like, I don't know what happened there. I think I deleted the circle and it just sort of left him there, and it just completely blew my mind. So you got this, but then you've got Neto who can play on the left, Quenda can play on the right, for example. That's a strong wing sort of set. Yes, it'd be like, this is, you have to take into account, this is assuming that George hits the level that is required of him, which he has in his locker, but it all depends on how he develops. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens on that left-hand side, because, like I say, Quenda is more suited to the right. Esteval's said about playing in the 10, but you've got Palmer, who, again, is going to play in that number 10. Do you go for double pocket players? It's going to be really, really interesting to see what Chelsea decide to do with all of these players. But the absolute undoubted thing about this is Quenda is very suited to this system in terms of being a direct 1v1 winger, having the work rate to get back, being quick to create those chaos moments for Chelsea. And in that sense, I'm really excited about it, because I do think, and a lot of people know this from my videos this season, it's a lot of the reason that I value Madueke as highly as I do is because of a lot of the qualities that Quenda would bring to the team that so many other Chelsea players just do not have. Simply, we don't have enough players that force the issue. And when you're in a positional system, again, go watch the video that I did the other day about chaos versus control. You need those players to generate those chaotic moments from within that positional system. Otherwise, it does become lethargic, like people say. And that's why Madueke for me is so important, because he injects that into a side that still has the balance due to the positional play and the structure around him. But he injects those moments and he gives you those, even with his missed sort of shot opportunities, everything that he does drives the team with purpose. So adding another player of that type who can play on both sides, it's for me, it's brilliant. It really is a top end deal. But I am just very intrigued to see what happens on the left and what happens with Esteval. So do let me know what you think is going to happen with all that down in the description below. If you want any more information on Quenda, a more in-depth video about exactly how he could sort of play alongside certain players, maybe we'll revisit it in a year's time when we sort of know the squad landscape that he'll be coming into. Because, again, look at the screen now. I almost guarantee you in 2026, it will look nothing like this. There will be so many different names scattered around this pitch. But we're just, from what the context we have now, this is what we have to speak about. So let me know your thoughts on the Quenda signing. Let me know what you think will happen with Esteval. Let me know about your thoughts with Madueke and Sancho, for example. Let me know what you think will happen on the left-hand side, not only in the summer, but in the future. And I'm just really interested to hear your thoughts about this deal, because it is a very, very, very interesting one. Please do drop a like to support the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know what videos you would like to see next, and I'll see you guys in the next one.